The box arrived just before noon, wrapped in brown paper and tied with a thin blue ribbon that looked like it had been chosen with great care. I was in the kitchen pretending to help with lunch while secretly hopping for nothing more than a quiet afternoon nap. Father's Day had never been a grand affair in our house, usually pancakes in the morning, a handmade card, maybe a new pair of socks I'd pretend to be excited about. But this year was different. Emily hadn't been home in almost a year. She moved 3 states away after graduating college, chasing a job opportunity she called too good to pass up. I told her I was proud of her, I meant it, but pride doesn't make the dinner table feel less empty. So when I heard the doorbell ring and saw the package sitting on the porch with my name written in her unmistakable looping handwriting, my chest tightened in a way I hadn't expected. "For you," my wife Carol said softly as she picked it up. I smiled like a kid. She didn't have to send anything. Carol didn't answer right away. She handed me the box, but her fingers lingered for a second longer than usual. "Go on," I said, reaching for the ribbon. Her voice dropped to a whisper, "Don't open it." I laughed. Why not?" She swallowed, her eyes searching mine. "Can't you tell?" "Tell what?" But she stepped back, folding her arms tightly, as if bracing herself. I looked down at the box again. It wasn't heavy, in fact it felt almost too light. I shook it gently, no sound, no shifting weight, just stillness. A strange unease crept up my spine. "You're scaring me," I said, trying to joke. Carol forced a thin smile. "Just maybe wait a minute." I studied the wrapping more carefully. The paper wasn't store-bought gift wrap, it looked like recycled craft paper. The ribbon wasn't perfectly tied, it was slightly crooked as if someone had redone it twice. My name was written in blue ink, but there was a faint smudge near the corner. My heart began to pound. "Did she call you?" I asked. Carol nodded. "When?" "This morning." "And?" She hesitated, she sounded emotional. That didn't narrow it down. Emily had always felt things deeply. As a child, she'd cried when cartoon characters got hurt. As a teenager, she'd cried when her favorite band broke up. When she left for college, she cried in the driveway for 10 full minutes before finally pulling away. "What did she say?" I pressed. Carol's eyes glistened. She asked if the box arrived yet. And she said she hoped you'd understand." My mouth went dry. "Understand what?" I sat down at the kitchen table, the box in front of me. The sunlight through the window cast a bright square across the paper. For a moment, I just stared at it. "Maybe we're overthinking this," I said. "Maybe it's just a gift." Carol didn't respond. I untied the ribbon slowly. "Wait," she whispered again. I paused, looking at her. "Why don't you want me to open it?" She exhaled shakily. "Because I think I know what's inside." My chest tightened. "Then tell me." "She told me she was sending you something important, something she's been holding onto for a long time." I frowned. "Holding onto?" Carol nodded. And then it hit me. The attic. 3 months ago, when Carol and I had cleaned out the attic, we'd found an old storage bin labeled EMILY, do not throw away. Inside were drawings, report cards, old trophies, and a stack of small notebooks tied together with yarn. I remembered picking one up. A diary. Carol had taken it from my hands gently. "We shouldn't read that." "I'm not," I said, though I had been tempted. Later that evening, Emily called. She asked if we'd found anything interesting while cleaning. "Just your old art projects," Carol had told her lightly. There had been a pause on the other end of the line. Now, staring at the box, realization dawned slowly like a cold sunrise. "You think," I swallowed, "you think she sent the journals?" Carol nodded. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. Emily had always been private. Even as a little girl, she'd close her bedroom door and write for hours. When I'd knock and ask what she was doing, she'd grin and say, "Secret stories." Years later, during high school, there had been fights, curfews missed, words spoken too harshly by me. Especially during her senior year. I had wanted her to study business, something practical, stable. She wanted to major in creative writing. "I don't want you to struggle," I'd said more than once. "You don't believe in me," she'd shot back. That one had hurt. Eventually, she chose her path. I attended her graduation, I clapped the loudest, but something between us had shifted, subtle but real. "If those are her journals," I said quietly, "why would she send them?" Carol's voice broke, maybe because she wants you to know. To know what? She looked at the box, then at me. What it was like for her. The words landed like stones. I stared at the paper, suddenly afraid of what lay beneath it. For Father's Day, my daughter had given me a box. And inside might be years of thoughts I had never heard. I ran my thumb along the edge of the wrapping. She doesn't owe me this, I murmured. No, Carol agreed, but maybe she needs you to see it. I closed my eyes for a moment. Memories surfaced, Emily at 8 years old, running toward me with a story she'd written about a dragon who didn't fit in. Me skimming it distractedly because I was answering work emails. Emily at 15 asking if I'd come to her poetry reading, me promising to try, then arriving late. Emily at 18, suitcase in hand, eyes red from crying, me telling her to be realistic. My chest ached. Maybe the box wasn't a gift. Maybe it was a mirror. Carol pulled out a chair and sat beside me. She placed her hand over mine. She loves you, she said firmly. I know. And she wouldn't send this to hurt you. I nodded slowly. With trembling fingers, I tore the paper open. Inside was a simple white cardboard box, no tape, no lock. I lifted the lid. There they were. 5 worn notebooks, the same yarn tied around them. And on top an envelope. I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Dad, if you're reading this, it means you opened the box. Mom probably tried to stop you, I asked her too. Not because I didn't want you to see what's inside, but because I wanted you to choose to. These are my journals from middle school through college. I know it's strange to give someone your private thoughts, but I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't want there to be things unsaid between us. You always told me that honesty matters, so here it is. Some of this might be hard to read, some of it might make you angry, some of it might hurt. But there's something I hope you'll notice. Even on the pages where I was upset. I never stopped loving you. Happy Father's Day. Love, Emily. By the time I finished, the words were blurry. Carol squeezed my hand. Well, she whispered. I let out a shaky laugh that turned into something else. She trusted me with her truth. I picked up the top notebook. The first page was dated nearly 15 years ago. In messy handwriting it read. Today Dad came to my school play, he clapped the loudest, I think he was proud of me. My throat closed. I flipped forward. Pages filled with teenage frustration, anger about arguments, doubts, dreams. Then college entries. Dad thinks writing isn't practical. I wish he could see that stories are the only thing that makes sense to me. I covered my face with my hand. I was so afraid for her, I said. I didn't want her to struggle. I know, Carol said softly, but sometimes fear sounds like doubt. I nodded, absorbing that. Carefully, I turned to the last entry. It was dated 6 months ago. Dad called today just to ask how my writing was going. He didn't try to fix it, he just listened. I think he's trying. I think we're both trying. And that's enough. A tear slipped down my cheek. For years, I had thought I needed to protect her from the world. I hadn't realized she was brave enough to show me her own. I closed the notebook gently. I'm calling her, I said. Carol smiled through her tears. I thought you might. As the phone rang, I looked at the box one more time. It wasn't filled with accusations. It was filled with trust. Emily answered on the 3rd ring. Happy Father's Day, Dad. My voice cracked. I got your gift. A small pause. Yeah. Thank you, I said, for letting me see you. On the other end, I heard her inhale sharply. Did you read much? Enough to know I've got some apologizing to do. She laughed softly. We both do. I smiled, tears drying on my face. For Father's Day, my daughter gave me a box. My wife had whispered, don't open it, can't you tell? She was right. I couldn't tell at first. But now I could see it clearly. Inside that simple cardboard box wasn't just paper and ink. It was forgiveness. And a second chance.